What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me on my channel. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far, and you can just top this day off with this lesson and begin to continue your journey in your own personal growth and self-development. So today we're continuing our series, overcoming our limiting beliefs. Today we're going to be talking about exposing our negative self. So did you know that each one of us have an alter ego, and this alter ego is certainly a villainous one? And so this is that voice inside of us that's critical of everything, always has something negative to say, always pointing out our flaws and weaknesses and what we did wrong and how we didn't do this right. This voice is constantly telling us that we can't do this, we don't have enough. I mean, this voice is brutal, and so we have to make sure that we don't allow this voice any more power or any more influence in what we can or cannot do, or what we do or what we don't do. And so this voice is our negative Nancy and our bully Bob. That's what we're going to call them, negative Nancy and bully Bob. So the most effective way to deal with this that I found is awareness. And whether this negative voice, this alter ego, shows up as a limiting belief or as negative self-talk, the way to deal with it is being aware that you do it, being aware that you have it, and having the ability to recognize it at the time that it's going on. And so when we're able to do this, we can begin to change our beliefs and our behaviors as well. And so last week we talked about overcoming limiting beliefs, and I want to just remind us, I want to review this really quickly, because part of those limiting beliefs is affirmed in us through this negative voice. And so I just want to do a quick review about how we can begin to spot those limiting beliefs and how we can begin to uproot them. So the first one I want to talk about is we have to discard those limiting beliefs, obviously. And so one of the ways that I talked about that we can begin to do that is begin to ask ourselves, is this something, can we prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this belief is true? Is there any proof of it that nobody has ever done this? If this belief is that for example, we talked about that like love is pain, or love has to be painful. Is there any relationship, has anyone ever had a relationship where it just wasn't full of pain and grief and abuse? And so have you ever been in a relationship where that, wasn't the case? And so if you have, or if someone says, no, love isn't pain, because I've been in this relationship and, yes, we've had some disappointments, and yes, we've had some painful situations, but the love, this person loved me, and the way they loved, the way they made me feel, wasn't, just dripping in pain. And so if that's the case, then that is a limiting belief, and that is definitely something to discard. The next one you want to do is you want to identify the empowering beliefs you do want to have. The third is you want to be consistent in rehearsing your daily affirmations. So how do we begin to overcome these negative Nancy and this bully Bob voice that we have? Well, I just want to give you a few tips as for you to begin to put into, implement in your life. And so hopefully that can get you started. And always, if you find yourself having a difficult time doing this on your own, and you find that you need a life coach, I would certainly be happy to help you, and you can always contact me on my website. But the first tip I want to give you is you want to begin to reframe your negative experiences. And this is important because how we perceive a situation to be will determine our outcome. It can determine whether we progress or whether we stay stagnant. And so we want to change our our perception about the situation. And so we can begin to reframe this negative experience by looking for the positive, looking for the silver lining. And so I want you to remember that we always have a choice. There's always a choice in how you look at a situation. We choose to look at it from a negative situation, or we choose to look at it from a positive situation. You know, there are people that tend to have more of a positive outlook, and then we have people that tend to look at more at the negative side. You know, well, that's a choice, because it's just as easy to be one or the other. It's a choice. And so I want to help you by giving you just a few questions that you can begin to ask yourself to help reframe the situation. Number one, what else could be going on here? Is there something more to this situation than I'm actually considering? The second question is, what did I or what can I learn from this situation? How can I grow from this situation? How can I become more mature in this situation? The third question to ask yourself is, what can I do? What could I have done differently, or what could I do different next time? And so the third thing that I want you to look at is changing the words that you use. And so by doing this, we can begin to take away the fear of failure. So a lot of times that voice inside of us is telling us that we can't do it because we failed, or remember when you tried this before and it didn't work out, or remember when you tried to get help and nobody asked you, you're a failure. You don't even try. You don't want to put yourself through that type of failure again. And so that's what that voice on the inside of us tells us. But rather than saying I failed, or rather than saying I'm a failure, try saying, when the situation comes up that you want to do something that you either haven't done before, or you did before and it didn't work out. Instead of going on and on about being a failure, try saying, no matter what happens, I know I'm going to learn from this. Or you could say, that was a learning opportunity for me. And so that, or something like, that situation allowed me to develop or to mature in a way that I wouldn't have otherwise. And so speaking in this manner, like I said, takes away the fear of failure, and it also promotes the idea of always looking for the blessing or the silver lining. And so you can, instead of seeing yourself as a failure is no longer an option. That's not even something that I do or you do. You either achieve or you learn. I never fail. So I either achieve my goal or I learn something that I didn't know before, and so that I can implement it next time. There's no failure. And so number 4 is, take time to write down what you're good at. You can ask a friend, ask a loved one, ask a teacher, what skills am I good at? You might be really good at writing. You might be athletic. You might be good at helping others. So put no limits on anything, and write down the things that you're good at, or the things that you enjoy doing that you're good at. And that way you can begin to flip the script on that negative voice. So when those negative thoughts start coming up, you can have something in your arsenal that can fire back, that can quench, those darts that are trying to come at you. And so one tip that I want to give you in doing that is, the easiest way, or the most effective way to interrupt those negative thoughts is by speaking your words out loud. And so sometimes, when you're thinking thoughts, if you go ahead and speak something, that immediately you're no longer thinking, now you're speaking. And so you can begin to stop the thoughts and then speak what it is that you do want to think, what it is that you do want to say. And so this helps you to remember to remind yourself of all of the successes that you have had, and all the ways that you have helped others. So think on those things instead of, being down on yourself. Think on the ways that you've helped other people. Think on all of the things that you have done well, and you could begin to do that by first taking the time to think about it and write it down. And then those can be part of your daily affirmations. Those can be part of the things that you can, look at before you go to bed, or look at in the morning when you wake up. And that way you can kind of, program your mind, for the day, or reset your mind when you, go to bed. So I want to remind you that, to believe this way, to believe, to think positively is a choice. And so you have to choose to believe differently. And like I said at the beginning, it's a choice. You can just as easily be a negative person the same way you can be a positive person. It might be challenging to change, but certainly not impossible. So you have to choose to put these practices into play. And so I want to challenge you with some homework. So what negative words are you saying to yourself? What negative thoughts are repeatedly coming up to you? And so by doing this, it'll make you aware of the type of thoughts that you're thinking, so that when they do come up in your negative, in your everyday life, you can immediately recognize them and begin to interrupt those with the beliefs that you do want to have, with the thoughts that you do want to begin to say about yourself. And that way you can begin to change your beliefs and change your behaviors. But choose to respond differently. Choose to do something differently so that you can get different results. So I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep tuning in. Please leave your comments down in the comment section if you have a question about anything, and I will do my best to answer them. If you have a topic that you'd like to discuss, you can leave that in the comment section as well. So again, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for joining me. I will see you next time. Bye.